Wells Fargo is initially some of the fattest layoffs I've ever seen. I mean, hundreds of Oregon workers are now being laid off in the most recent layoffs. This is big. This isn't like some tiny, small layoff. We're talking about like big Wells Fargo's here. And Wells Fargo is telling hundreds of people to just leave. No more work, no more job, no more salary. Here's your severance. 500 workers in Hillsborough and 221 workers in Salem are being laid off, and it will be pulling out of several offices in Oregon. And you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of what's happening with Intel, with some of the biggest semiconductor companies out there. Everyone seems to just do the same thing, laying off employees, and then after they lay them off, you shut down the offices and campuses, and at the end of the day, you're saving billions of dollars. In fact, this is nothing new for Wells Fargo. They've been doing this since 2023, guys. Well, look at this, guys. Wells Fargo sells San Francisco office tower at an enormous $60 million loss. Because owning these buildings isn't just the utilities or the people that take care of the building. It's the property tax. It's so incredibly high. Considering that many American cities are becoming massive homeless dumps like Chicago and San Francisco, a lot of companies like Wells Fargo is like, you know what? Quality of life in these cities are going downhill. Employees can work online. And I'm firing this many workers anyway. Maybe it's time to sell these buildings and decrease my commercial real estate exposure. That's what a lot of these banks are thinking about. One of the reasons why Wells Fargo and several other banks are dumping these office buildings is because these office buildings frankly suck. I'm not going to lie when I tell you guys these buildings are massive losers. I mean, the American real estate market in the commercial department is $20 trillion before the pandemic. Now it's like $14 to $15 trillion. Trillions of dollars of commercial real estate value is being wiped off. Wells Fargo and several other banks and investors are also very scared about investing in small regional banks because there's a crap ton, hundreds of small regional banks that dedicate themselves to commercial real estate, which right now is a dumpster fire. Portland, Hillsborough, Salem offices are closing down, just like what we said. Employees will be receiving a 60 days notice in advance. What's even worse about this is the Wells Fargo's executive said the bank's global operations business will be leaving the state of Oregon by the end of 2025. And the company says they want to consolidate global locations to just a few cities. Now, these operations are becoming tighter. Why did Wells Fargo suddenly want to sell their office buildings, fire employees, and then shrink everyone to just a few cities? It's pretty simple. They are smelling a potential financial storm, which you can't blame Wells Fargo because interest rates have been so incredibly high for the past few years. And because of this, many companies are shrinking. They're shrinking, they want to save money, because if bad times start hitting them, they don't exactly want to borrow money at a very high interest rate amount, which is very devastating for these companies. And look at Wells Fargo, the fourth biggest U.S. bank by asset in 2023, cut about 11,000 jobs, about 5% of its total workforce. People are saying that on average, Wells Fargo is probably laying off a few percentages every few quarters. And this number is only skyrocketing. And the CEO of Wells Fargo has even said that they've fired so many people that they're going to be spending almost $1 billion just on severances alone. And guys, Wells Fargo is not alone for these layoffs. Citigroup says they're laying off 20,000 employees in the next 2 years. And they've already started. Like back in March, they fired 5,000 people. It seems like the bank industry is shrinking. What's going on? What's happening? It could be because we're finally feeling the consequences of high interest rates. I mean, 2023, you got some of the biggest small regional banks going bust. The FDIC almost went broke, insuring everyone. This is not normal, guys. This is not great considering some of the biggest investors in the world and hedge funds are refusing to invest. We got a big problem on our hands. Let's see what happens next, guys. Wells Fargo, Citigroup, everyone seems to just be laying off employees and closing down their offices recently. Thanks for watching.